Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of League Chat with the Stat. Thank you for joining me to discuss all things round 7. Another great weekend of football, especially during the Anzac round. Obviously, a time to remember we commemorate the Anzacs and for the sacrifice that they made for us. Good to be back in the hot seat once again to discuss everything from round 7. Let's get straight into the NRL ladder. Now, I've got the Panthers still undefeated on 14 points, followed by Eagles and Rabbitohs on 12. The Storm and Roosters sit on 10 points. Dragons alone at 6 and 8 points. You've got the Titans, the Raiders, the Warriors, the Knights, the Sea Eagles, and the Cowboys all on 6. Sharks sitting 13th on 4 points. And Tigers, Broncos, and the Canterbury Banks and Bulldogs got our win, baby. About time. Sitting on 2 points. Finally don't have the big donut and talking about another loss this week. So good to be here. Good to do this all again. Now let's get straight into it, guys. Panthers 24 defeating the Knights 6 in a great Thursday night clash at Penrith Stadium. Now, I just feel like when you watch the Penrith Panthers, they're toying with the opposition. Now, with that being said, they're just having a lot of fun out there. The bond that they have, off the field, and then being able to bring that all together on the field is special. I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. You just see that they're toying with their opponents. They see that they can just, have a bit of a laugh while they're on the field. They know how to balance it all, get it all happening and going. And they just look so comfortable out there, regardless of who the opposition is. But there was a much better performance from the Panthers compared to last week, being put to the test against the Brisbane Broncos, who've been struggling for a while, to come out at home and to put in a very dominant performance, especially defensively, to obviously just solidify themselves still as the top contenders, and they really haven't dropped off at all. So it was a good bounce back from the Penrith Panthers, and good for them to get that comfortable win over the Newcastle Knights. Now, the Knights, look, they did concede a lot more errors than they needed to, the first half especially, conceded quite a few errors. The very disappointing thing in that is that they actually had a decent side to be able to contend with the Penrith Panthers, especially on the Thursday night. But they obviously didn't really capitalise on those opportunities, and with a lot of errors, especially in that first half, it really hurt them. But to be fair, they did hold off the Penrith Panthers as much as they could. To only have the game go to 24 points to 6 was actually a bit of a bonus. So it's good to see they showed a little bit of fight, especially defensively, but still leaking 24 points is obviously not an ideal situation. Look, Brian To'o, again, just another beast performance from him on the wing. Really showing traits of Josh Mansell and those big stats that he can rack up, especially when he was at the Panthers. 28 runs, 310 metres, 127 post-contact metres, a try, line break, 4 tackle breaks, and an offload. Really gives his all in the 80-minute performances, and definitely one I'm considering for Origin. James Fisher-Harris, 19 runs, 191 metres, 28 tackles. Another beast performance from him, especially up front. Always leading by example and doing everything he can to lead the team from the front and take charge, especially in the moments when they needed to take charge the most. And look, Jaden Bradley, 65 tackles, another big performance from him defensively, especially over the fact that last week he made another 65 tackles as well. And he's getting better by the week, not missing any tackles, and just playing that 80 minutes, and he's doing that really well. So the Knights need to bounce back. They got their opponents a little bit tougher this week, which we'll get to a little bit later, but the Penrith Panthers, mate, they're just flying. They don't look like they can be taken down at all. But with their opponents this week, we just might have to wait and see what happens. The Rabbitohs 40 defeating the Titans to 30. Now, quite the game of two halves. The Titans come out strong, 24-10 lead at halftime, especially with the way they lost 36-0 last week to the Sea Eagles. So it's good to see, them rebound with a better performance, especially in that first half, 24 points to 10. They'd be very disappointed with the fact that they lost their way in the second half and ended up losing the game altogether. Very disappointing to be, a Titans fan, and definitely disappointing to be Justin Holbrook having him watch that and just be very upset with the fact that they could have beaten, one of the top teams in the comp, and they just couldn't grind it out for the 80 minutes. The Rabbitohs, look, they had to overcome another slow start. If you look at the last couple of weeks, they've had some very slow starts and still come away with the win. But look, it's not something that Wayne Bennett would be very pleased about. There's definitely got to be a lot of improvements from the Rabbitohs there and getting off to a good start and maintaining that throughout the whole 80 minutes. But look, mate, Benji Marshall, wow. Turning back the clock, unreal performance from him. 9 runs, 122 metres, 2 tries, a line break, a try assist, and 3 line break assists. Mate, he was on fire. And this was all, him playing in the centres. This was definitely one of the best games I've ever seen from Benji Marshall. And a game that, he really took control without Cody Walker obviously being a fullback with no Latrell. Really took control, especially in the centres, jumped in the middle, played a bit in the middle, and then just dominated. Now, that flick ball to Alex Johnston just gave me 2005 Benji Marshall and Pat Richards memories. Just sat there, watched it in awe, couldn't believe it. mate, still at his best, which is why, the Souths do want to keep him on for another year. So he's been playing wonderful football. He's doing the job that he needs to do. All the Souths players clocked over 100 metres as well, which was a very dominant forward-based performance from them. For them to be able to score 40 points was huge. But look, David Fifita on his own, just another very good performance from him. 13 runs, 106 metres, 3 tries, 11 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, and 30 tackles. A big 80-minute performance from David Fifita, doing everything right for the Titans at the moment. And he's just really seeming to enjoy his football. Injuries aren't a concern for him. And he's really finding his way into that team and really being able to just explore any opportunities he can and just capitalise on them. I mean, 11 tackle breaks. One of the tries he scored, he broke 7. So he's just on fire at the moment. He's in the top 10 for all attacking stats at the moment as well. So he's just flying. But look, the Titans need to be better. They've gone back-to-back losses now. They need to go back to the drawing board and they need to figure out how to get a win again and how to continue that momentum that they had to start the season. For the Rabbitohs, just overcoming that slow start would be the biggest help for them. The Eels 46 defeated the Broncos 6 in Darwin. And, yeah, look, Parramatta just destroyed. Again, another very good performance from them. They really capitalised on a very, very weak and pathetic and abysmal Broncos performance. The second that kickoff went down and Xavier Coates dropped that ball, I said, okay, we are here for a while. It's going to be a very long night. And it was. What I don't understand, look, we'll get to Parramatta first. They were fantastic. You got to give credit where credit's due. They really just toyed with the Broncos, just like Penrith did with the Knights, and really just having a laugh with the opposition, trying different things. Like that last try with that little karate type kick that Mitch Moses kicked, and then having Gutherson come in as well. That last try, very soft. But look, Parramatta enjoying their football. Their forwards are dominating. Allowing the backs to be able to be that creative, and just being able to see them run around the park and just have a laugh, especially at the expense of the Broncos, who were absolutely bad. What I don't understand, Broncos and another club I'll get to a bit after, how you can put in such a spirited performance the week before, 73 minutes of fantastic football, to then go to Darwin. Yes, conditions are different, but Eels played as well, and be that bad. I don't understand. Especially with the fact that, Broncos, again, very good game last week, moving into this week to be able to do that all again, and they just failed. Mate, Kevin Walters, man, I've got a feel for the guy. You should have seen him in that post-match talk that he had with the club. Mate, no one cares for the jersey. He's holding the jersey and he's so angry he got it and just threw it on the table because no one cares. No one gives a damn to play for the Broncos. He's got 18 to 20 players on the chopping block. He wants to get rid of everyone and do a massive clean out. They're re-signing players that haven't played yet because clubs are after them. They're losing players left, right and centre. They're just a joke at the moment. But look, with that performance especially, they were just woeful. How they just let some of those tries in, it made me sick. Isaiah Papali'i, give to Parramatta Eels, give him the credit, another dominant performance, 15 runs, 151 metres, another try, so 5 tries to start the year, with a line break, 5 tackle breaks and 22 tackles. And Payne Haas, the only one that really gives a crap. With this performance from Payne Haas, 15 runs, 185 metres, 8 tackle breaks, a line break and 34 tackles. Let me just make something very clear here. He's gone over and played in Darwin, but he's a religious guy and he's been doing the fasting for the month of Ramadan. And look, to be able to put a performance like that together, I mean, come on, that is just wonderful to see. He still leads by example, regardless of the sacrifices he needs to make for his religious beliefs, which I can totally respect. Really showed what it means for him to be a Bronco. And he's the only one that does it every week, like I always mention. And it's a shame that Kevin Walters said in the press conference that no one really lifts to his level, which is very sad. But the Broncos need to be better. Surely they can't end the year being in the bottom 4 again. That's not the Broncos that we know that can be. But they're just in a really trying time at the moment. And while the Eels are just flying and just really cementing themselves as the top team, one of the top teams this year. Okay, very excited for this one. The Bulldogs 18 defeating the Sharks 12. Now, the Bulldogs only play for 20 minutes a game. It's very clear. It's been like that for the last 4 or 5 years. They only play for 20, 25 minutes. They get to an okay lead, like a 12-0 or 18-0 lead, and stop. Zero attack after that. I don't know why. I think they just get too complacent. But look, a win's a win. I'll take what I can get at this point. Defensively, that was very impressive. They all turned up for each other. They were there to really just shift with the defense. They'll be able to help each other out, cover each other's positions if they needed to defensively. Mate, look, good to see him hold on. I did set thought that when, Moreno Hiroti scored that try 4 minutes to go, I thought they lost it. I thought they lost that game, to be quite honest. But good to see them hold on for the win. I'll take it. Win's a win. We finally got our first of the season. I told you all it was coming. But a lot of you did listen to me and laughed. And for those who are Bulldogs fans and tipped the Sharks, sucked into you all. But look, you got to see, the Sharks, they were just very unlucky with a lot of their tries that they scored. They should have put 45, 50, 60 on us with the amount of tries they had disallowed. They went to the bunker. And they defensively they weren't on song. Josh Dugan, very poor defensively. Allowing Hopewadi to score that first try, very very dumb. It's just a simple defensive read. That was, by the way, Bulldogs' last tackle. They went last tackle to Hopewadi to create something out of nothing. Very poor option, but it worked in the end. But look, as I said, they had that many opportunities. Moreno Hiroti dropped a few as well, 2 or 3 tries he bombed as well. Which doesn't help the case. Their backs made a lot of mistakes. Kennedy, couple errors. Hiroti, 3 errors. Dugan, 2 errors. Connor Tracy, 3 errors as well. So they need to be better with the ball. But look, CSC for Talakai's hit on Matt Dury was such a good hit. And I can't believe he's caught 4 weeks for it. It was such a good hit. It was the shoulder charge. Loved the shoulder charge. Unlucky for him to be gone for 4 weeks, especially his first couple of games back for the club. I never thought I'd see this name on my list, when I compliment players, but Dylan Harper had the best game in the Bulldogs jumper. It's taken him 3 years, but 14 runs, 139 metres and 27 tackles. I think that's the most input he's put into a game in the last 3 years. Very fitting that he's off contract this year and he's looking to obviously re-sign with the club, which I don't think will happen. But he needs to be putting up numbers such as like Luke Thompson, 17 runs, 164 metres, 80 post contact and offload and 36 tackles, which was the most for the Dogs. Crazy, big effort from those boys. With those boys lifting, we were able to dominate the field position, for them to be able to go off the back of that. Now, just to add as well in this game, Sharks led every attacking stat, and Bulldogs led every poor defensive stat. Sharks had more errors than us, okay, but we missed 40 tackles, they missed 16. They made more meters than us, they gained way more meters than us, we made way more tackles than them. But we still hold on to be 18-12, and I'll take that. Very impressive. The standout for the Sharks for me was Teague Wilton, who's been phenomenal since he's been able to jump in and play 80 minutes. Centre, second row, he's been flawless. Another great performance, 15 runs, 160 metres, 82 post-contact metres, 4 tackle breaks, and 40 tackles. So look, Dogs finally get on the board after 7 weeks. Good to see Trent Barrett really, really care, and him crying on the field made me also want to cry, I won't lie. Very, very proud coach. Finally, all the work that he's been trying to put into this side has finally come about. So hopefully that we can build on that performance against Parramatta this week. The Cowboys 26 defeating the Raiders 24. Again, another game with the tale of 2 halves. Raiders come out of the blocks firing, especially with them being embarrassed last week at home. They were out to come and prove a point. Look, I've got to give it to the Cowboys for fighting back in that second half. The first half they were rubbish, but to be able to come back in that second half and put on a dominant performance, especially in that second half, and with the way that these boys were playing, mate, it was very good to watch. And I'm very proud to see the Cowboys are showing some resilience. Now they've won 3 on the trot, aiming for 4 on the trot for the first time since 2017 in their clash this week against the Warriors. But look, you look at the Raiders and you just see that they're low on confidence. Now that try before halftime where Old Mate was offside, I'm sorry, how do these people get put into the bunker? How do these people get hired? I don't understand. The guy was a mile offside, and they called it and they looked at it and it was fine, and that obviously hurt before half time. But their confidence dropped, the Raiders. It was very hard for them to come back from that. I haven't seen them this low on confidence since at least 5-6 years. The Raiders that we're seeing at the moment is a side that we haven't seen for a very long time. Since at least the mid-2010s when they were very, very average. They have such a good side. They have a great quality side. Ricky Schultz toying with his change at the moment and keeps chopping and changing a lot of things, which is kind of ruining their cohesion a little bit. But they need to get out of this rut and get out of it very quickly, because we all know that the Raiders are a much better side than this. And to have lost to the Cowboys, seeing all of them with their heads down in the sheds, they need to be better. And I think the way that has been going the last couple of weeks have been very ordinary and not the Raiders that we've gotten to know over the last few years. So they really need to pick up their slack and they need to do that very quickly. Lachlan Burr, 17 runs, 154 metres, 2 tackle breaks and 32 tackles. A very good performance from him, stepping up in the absence of Jason Taumaloa, and with obviously Jordan McLean going down with that injury as well after his hamstring. Francis Molo, 15 runs, 143 metres, a tackle break and 26 tackles were the highlights for me from the Cowboys-Raiders game. Now, the Seagulls 40 defeating the Tigers 6. Again, like I said last week, Tom Trbojevic being the difference once again. Slow start from the Seagulls though. Tigers dominated the first 25 minutes before Tommy Turbo just turned it up, and 3 tries within like 6 minutes, really hurt the Tigers. It's just a flick of the switch for that Tom Trbojevic to go out to just be able to destroy the opponents the way he did, just to go through the line, put Cherry Evans in for a double, then to be able to get the play set up for Tapau to score a try as well. Now, if Turbo can stay on the field, we all know what type of team Manly are when he's on the field, and he can cause some crazy damage. But they need to be better. They need to start a bit better. They've got the Panthers this week, so they need to be a lot better in terms of their start and be able to maintain that out. And look, Turbo got a reprieve as well. He got a little early mark, 65 minutes, played flawlessly. The Tigers were just dead set garbage. They were pathetic. Again, that's the second club I've discussed. How they go and put on such a great performance against the top team last week to then go out and produce that again. Oh, when did they learn? When will Maguire finally get the best out of his players? It's actually infuriating to see how they go from a spirited performance the week before to then come up this week and then just be that bad. Makes no sense to me. Now, and then obviously after the game, coming out these talks of Michael Maguire, they want to get rid of Michael Maguire. I'll get into that a little bit later. Yes, it did make a lot of questionable interchanges. Stefano Toikamanu was so dominant the first 25 minutes he played and then only jumped on for the last 5 minutes. Yeah, dumb coaching like that, which really hurt the Tigers because he was their best forward. But then defensively, they were just disgusting as well. Something like that Kieran Foran try for them to score was just, rubbish. Tigers, I don't know when they're going to get out of this rut. I don't know when they're all going to really put their foot down and be a lot more disciplined. But, mate, getting rid of Maguire will be the worst thing they can do. We'll get to that shortly. Tom Trbojevic, 17 runs, 210 metres, a try, 2 try assists, 2 line break assist, and 5 tackle breaks in 65 minutes. Don't need to say much else apart from a phenomenal performance. Marty Tapau, ever since he's been told that he'd be looking to be moved on, he has been ripping it up. 20 runs, 184 metres, a try, a line break, 6 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, and 18 tackles. Very proud of Marty Tapau, starting to really be dominant and put up some big numbers, for the Manly side, who are on a 2-game winning streak at the moment. Sorry, 3-game winning streak. Roosters 34 defeating the Dragons 10 in an awesome Anzac clash. Now, again, the Dragons started off and got off the blocks pretty well. Had a try disallowed early on to Jack Bird, but then got through with Tarek Sims. And, the Dragons seemed to do well. It seemed to go all right until Jordan Pereira got seen in for clotheslining James Tedesco, which rubbed him out of the whole game. When Tedesco went down, I was a little cautious to see how they would continue and how they would go. But the Roosters, it's just the next man up mentality for them, and they just killed it in that second half. Sam Walker, with his main man at the back being absent, really carved it up. Became man of the match that day, scored a try, set up 2 more. Just a handful, for the Dragons, who really couldn't contain him at all. The Dragons need to find that rhythm that got them on that 4-game win streak, and they need to find it very, very soon. Having considered back-to-back losses now, they need to start figuring out what they need to do to get better. Not only that, but they also need to just find that rhythm again. If they find that rhythm again, there will be no team that can match them. Yeah, they're missing Ben Hunt. I know Jack Bird jumped into 5'8", and Adam Clune came off the bench. Bit of an odd one. It was good to see Bird get more time with the ball, but they need to stick with their guns, not keep chopping and changing with their spine. They just need to keep sticking to what they're doing with the same players that they've got, and with Ben Hunt returning this week, which would make things a little bit easier. Now, the Storm, before I get to the Storm game, Jody Hargraves, 17 runs, 185 metres, a tackle break, and 16 tackles. Very big performance from him, again, leading by example off the bench. And just good to see him really enjoying his football again. The last game, Storm 42 defeating the Warriors 20. Now, the Storm put on a very clinical first half, which got him out to 20 points to 6 at halftime. and it just went away from the Warriors from there. Now, the Storm, yes, they did capitalise on a very, very, very bad call to sin bin Josh Curran for a shoulder charge, which was not even a shoulder charge. And thank goodness that the judiciary obviously kept their brain cells intact and kept what they had left, because yeah, that call to sin bin was just dumb. Very, very, very stupid call. Now, with obviously Josh Curran going out, they consider one or two tries, and it's very hard for the Warriors to come back from that. Yeah, they're missing a few reinforcements. They had changes galore to start the game. Reece Walsh made his debut. Tuivasa-Sheck went to the wing. Foster was missing. Tohu Harris was missing. Adam Pompey was missing. So they had a lot of reinforcements out, but they're still to put 20 points in and to show a bit of pride in that jersey would have been the most proud that Nathan Brown could be, especially with the host of changes. But look, as I said, they need to be better, and they need to make most of these opportunities where they can get these kids blooded in. But look, Reece Walsh, welcome to the NRL, mate. 18-year-old freak of nature, really showed why the Warriors wanted him a year early, and we are seeing some great football from him in only his first game. So he's going to be a star to watch out for, and one I'm going to keep my eye close on. He'll be playing in an unfamiliar position for himself this week, so we'll get into that shortly. News around the NRL world, a bit to get through on this one. Now, just taking a look here, Tony Staggs. Last week I ended the news around the world segment with him being potentially re-signed by Brisbane. Now Parramatta are chucking in very serious corner at him, and now he's doing a double take on whether he wants to join Parra or stay in Brisbane. But now he's also on thin ice as a complaint was made for drunken behaviour by a woman. He's on very thin ice, and there's a chance that he may not even get any of those contracts if he's looking to stay in the NRL. Cameron Ciraldo has committed to staying at the Panthers for 2022 as an assistant. We saw how they all celebrated after the game with a really rap for the guy, so good to see him stick around for that year, and there's a chance he may join Craig Fitzgibbon in 2023 at the Sharks. Two fans were charged for racially abusing Latrell Mitchell online. Latrell Mitchell reported the followers to police, and the police made some inquiries and obviously charged them for the racial abuse. Kurt Falls, a Penrith junior, coming through the ranks, signed a 2-year deal with the Panthers. He'll be on a development contract for this year and then joining the top 30 squad next year. Now, Tom Dearden has signed with the Cowboys for 3 years, put pen to paper on a 3-year, $1.1 million deal. Sam Burgess was sounded out by two NRL clubs, the Tigers and another NRL club, which I believe was the Bulldogs, to play again and to show a bit more grit up front in their forward pack. Brent Hayden signed a 2-year deal with the Bulldogs. Confirmed not long ago. Jaden Sewer and Dane Gagai have been linked to the Broncos, as well as 5 halves, which we'll get to in a moment. Tigers have been linked to Oliver Gildart, the centre from the Wigan. He's been playing very good football over there. Looking to get him on a 2-year deal. The Parramatta player that was involved in the sex scandal has been fined $5,000 for bringing the game into disrepute. Not sure if I agree with that, because he wasn't filmed by one of his mates. He was filmed by just someone in the public. Don't think a $5,000 fine was necessary. Any other guy that does that, it's fine, but because they're NRL, they get treated differently. I don't see and support how the $5,000 fine works in any way, but that's not something I want to elaborate further on. The Sharks have offered Adam Reynolds a 3-year, $2.4 million deal to head to the Shire. He's met with Craig Fitzgibbon and he's liked what he's seeing from the club in their vision. But don't rule out the Broncos coming with a fat offer as well, with now the money they have to spend, having a lot of players leaving at the end of the season. Connor Tracy is looking to extend with the Sharks. Nothing really official as of yet. While Toby Rudolph was touring the Bulldogs facilities on Monday with Trent Barrett, they're looking to table a 3-year deal, which could see him come to the club, which will be a very good signing for the Dogs. The Tigers have re-signed Jake Simpkin for 2 years, and the 5 halves that the Broncos are chasing were Adam Reynolds, Sean Johnson, Mitch Moses, and they've been offered Aiden Caesar as well as Gareth Widdop. So they have a few options to choose from, but they're aiming to get a top half in for next year. If it's up to me, I'll probably choose Adam Reynolds out of the 5. And if you're going to choose a 6, I'll probably get Mitch Moses. If Mitch Moses can focus just on his running game and be outside someone like Reynolds, they will form a formidable partnership for years to come. And even Sean Johnson to Adam Reynolds would be a very good partnership as well. Now, Sean Johnson's been offered a 1-year, $400K extension as well, which he has not taken as of yet. I'm not really happy considering he was on $1 million a year at the moment. But look, as I said, we're just waiting to see how this all unfolds with the merry-go-round of the halfbacks at the moment. Now, one thing I want to just sound out of is this whole situation with Michael Maguire. Being told a few hours after the game, Tigers had to come out and release a statement denying the fact that they're going to look to sack him. I don't understand why they want to sack him. Yeah, hasn't been doing fantastic, in terms of results, but he is finally the man that they need to take the club forward, and they're looking to sack him over a few bad games. Maybe they should be looking at Justin Pascoe. This is the club CEO who's been there for about 6 or 7 years, who has hired dud after dud after dud after dud to come in and coach the club, and the Tigers have not made the finals in a very long time. And they want to see here and sack Maguire. It'll be the fifth coach they sack in 9 years. Why, by sacking another coach, is going to help them? It's not going to get them immediate results. They need to keep Maguire there for another couple of years. They need to keep him at their helm. He's trying to make some signings. He still hasn't got the team he wants. He's still got money to splurge when these players come off contract. So Tigers fans need to be patient. The Tigers do need to stick with him and give him more time because he's doing the right things. He's making some players a lot better. And the Tigers need to stick with it. Because at the moment, getting rid of him is not going to solve any of their problems. Now, moving over to the Supercoach segment, I scored 1,065 this week. Having Tedesco score 10 and having Tohu Harris get ruled out, who was one of my trades this week, very hard to see. Trades this week, I'll be probably trading Pappenhausen, who's on almost 100k, to Tom Trebojevic to free up some funds. Send me about 300-400k, and then I'll be able to splurge that on a decent back, like an Orfa Luma, or maybe go in the hunt for someone in the forwards and just strengthen that roster as well. So we're waiting to see what happens. But yeah, look, must-buys this week would be Josh Curran, who's a cheapie. Be making about 60-70k this week. Jake Simpkin as well, at hooker for Tigers. With Jacob Lutter not being named, is a very good buy as well. And yeah, really just trying to figure out my side at the moment. Still not 100% where I want it to go. May lose a few more games, and we'll see how that goes after that. But look, yeah, just a few buys to watch out for. I didn't become champ for a reason, guys. There's a reason I'm the champ, and you just got to trust the process. We're not going as amazing as we'd like to, but we trust the process, and it's why we keep these bad boys for a while. Now, let's talk everything round 8. The Raiders coming up against the Rabbitohs Thursday Night Football. Joseph Tapine will place Josh Papali in the side, who's been dropped, controversially, by Ricky Stewart. And Sebastian Chris will replace Jared Croker, who's injured his shoulder. For the Rabbitohs, Jai Arrow will replace Junior Totola, who hasn't recovered from that concussion, and Patrick Margot will join the bench. I'm going to call a tough one here and go the Raiders. Now, last week I went 7 from 8 in my tips, so you've got to start listening up again, guys. I'm going to go Raiders this game. Back at home, I think they'll be a lot better for the run, even though they are missing a few players. But I think they can shock the Rabbitohs and put in a decent performance. So I want to go Raiders, and they'll go by 6. Storm will take on the Sharks. Raymond Smith will go to the wing, and Tom Eisenhuth will move into the centres to replace George Jennings, who's been ruled out with concussion. And Riley Jacks will join the bench and replace Nelson Asafa Solomona. For the Sharks, only change there is Will Chambers will be making his club debut for the Sharks against his old side and replacing Josh Dugan, who's been dropped. And I think with the way Storm are playing, they're going to be too strong for the Sharks, and the Sharks will go down in another defeat. The Broncos will be taking on the Gold Coast Titans. Jesse Arthurs will come into the side to replace David Mead, who's been dropped. Arthurs missed last week due to a virus. Anthony Milford and Tyson Gamble have joined the side, replacing Brody Croft and Tom Dearden, who have been dropped to Queensland Cup. For the Titans, Anthony Don will jump on the ring, replacing Patrick Herbert, who's injured his shoulder. And Herman SASA will make his club debut, replacing Sam Nizoni, who's hurt who's tore a pec up, I believe. It'll be out for about 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to go Titans here, and Titans will look to rebound against the Broncos like they did in the early performance in round 2 or 3. I reckon the Titans will take the biscuits for this game, and they'll do it by 18. The Panthers will take on the Sea Eagles. The Panthers only changed. Apasai Coruscant will replace Mitch Kenny in the side, who's been dropped, who's done a really good job since filling in for Coruscant when he broke his wrist. Sea Eagles will be a 1-17 this week as well. I'm going to call an upset and go Sea Eagles. They're not playing at Penrith's spiritual home ground. They are playing elsewhere. I believe it's in Dubbo. I could be wrong. But I think the Sea Eagles, with Trebojevic playing the way he's playing, I think he can be a real threat and break open that Penrith defence. And I think I'm going to go Sea Eagles by 12. Chucking a few risky ones, why not? Bulldogs will be taking on the Eels, Stadium Australia at 5:30 on Saturday. Dogs will be a 1-17. For the Eels, Hayes Dunster will replace Will Smith, who's broken his hand. Confident that the Bulldogs will put in a better performance. The last 3 games, the Eels haven't won by more than 6, so I'm going to go Dogs by 4. Dogs by 4 this game. The Knights will be taking on the Roosters in Newcastle. Knights 1-17. Roosters also 1-17. With Tedesco in some doubt, it could be a late withdrawal from the game. It's going to be a tough one. I'm going to go the Knights at home and by 4 points. Warriors will be taking on the Cowboys in Central Coast. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck replaces Reece Walsh at fullback. Reece Walsh will be moving to the number 6 jersey. Dave Fusatulu is back on the wing, and Adam Pope back in the centres, who will be replacing Marcelo Montoya, who's been dropped. The only changes to the side, the Cowboys are 1-17, with a potential chance that Taumalolo could make a return, and also a chance that Jordan McLean could drop off out of the side. Another tough call here. I'm going to go the Cowboys, looking to get their 4th win for the first in a row for the first time since 2017. So I went back to Cowboys to get the job done against the Warriors. The final game, the Dragons were taking on the Tigers to finalise round 8. Ben Hunt has been named in the halves, replacing Jack Bird, who moves back into the centres, who will take the spot. From what I can see on my end, will take the spot of Jordan Pereira, who's been suspended. Now, Max Fearguy will come to the side to play his first game of the year, replacing Michael Maguire, who has been suspended for the next few weeks for a shoulder charge. And for the Tigers, just the one change, Joseph Leilua taking the spot of Michael Cheekham in the centres. And I think this will be the game that the Dragons will bounce back, and we'll go Dragons by 14 this game. Dragons by 14. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on League Chat with the Stat. Do need you all to continue to like, share, and subscribe this page. Like it on Facebook, share it on Instagram, even YouTube. Let's get the name out. Let's keep it growing. The merch is coming in very soon, so please put in your orders if you're looking at purchasing a black cap or white cap that you'll be able to own. More information will be coming soon, so very excited for that. But just continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's get it sharing amongst all our mates, and let this be the podcast that is really pumping and that get everyone to listen to. Guys, again, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me on another great episode of League Chat with the Stat. Have yourselves a good week. Enjoy the football. Let's hope we get 8 from 8 tips this week. All the best, guys. Take care.